Firstly, can I ask you about Alan Brown, Dan Ballard, and what's the latest with their injuries?
I think Dan Ballard should be okay for this weekend, and for Brownie, we'll need at least 1 week more to be available. Yeah.
But certainly neither of them as bad as was first perhaps feared, with Dan leaving Plymouth in a boot and Alan in a brace.
It was just a caution, I can say like that. Yes, before the specific diagnosis. Yeah.
And everyone else okay? No other issues?
We still, I think Salis could train on the next week. For Ahmed, we need time. For Aji as well, and other players, I don't know. No, it's okay.
Great. When you reflect on the Plymouth game, I'm sure you have looked back at it on several occasions.
Yeah.
When you look at it, was it one thing that sort of stands out as not being correct, or was it a lot of little things that just didn't work on the day?
As I explained before, the difference between a win and defeat is still very fragile and thin. So I think during this game, the first half was interesting. We had many occasions to score a second goal. For example, we hit the crossbar. Romain has a shot as well to score a second goal. And during the second half, I think the game changed because Plymouth decided to play more direct and more aggressively as well, and we lost some details about our shared references and our organization. And at that moment, I think we didn't protect our individuals to avoid mistakes. So if the shape and the organization is very strong, we can avoid this kind of actions. And when it wasn't the case, during the second half especially, at that moment it's possible to make that kind of mistake and then to concede 3 goals, which is very important away. So it's another reminder about this foundation that we need to care, and we need to be very clear that if these details are not always involved in the game, we can be unbalanced, and the momentum and the score can change. Yeah.
There's a word that's often used in English football, physicality. I'm not sure if it's a word you'd be accustomed to, but is it fair to say Plymouth were probably the first team you faced this season that were more robust, more physical, and do you feel that Sunderland, that came as a little bit of a surprise?
I'm not sure it's a surprise, but I think we could avoid this kind of game if we have a better control on with the ball, for example, and if the shape is stronger, so we can avoid just 1v1 situation and create maybe a 2v1 or 2v1 plus 1 support in the midfield. So it was a question of organization. Sometimes we'll have some troubles, some problems like that, but if our 1v1 is not for us in the balance, we can compensate with other players. So I think we needed to face with a new challenge with this international break, with the integration of the new players, and I think that our opponents will try to find another solution as well. So we need to adapt very quickly, and to keep in our mind that the process is still ongoing, and when it's a little bit less or not respected as we did before, we can be in that kind of situation.
You spoke last week about taking the players up to another level in
Yeah.
terms of what you're trying to instruct them. Is that partly because it's putting other teams off the scent, if you like, because they will watch you, think they've got a way of playing against you, but you're always trying to stay one step ahead of them?
It's still a process and a long journey as a team, and in that league especially. So sometimes the confidence becomes stronger, and you think that some elements of our game is now very clear, and we don't need to pay attention, and it will be stable. But it's not the case. We have every day, every session, every week to rebuild our references, and when these references are not so strong, we can see that during the game the balance and the control is different. Yeah.
Quick one about coaching, and the sense that we asked you a couple of weeks ago about bringing in a number two, and you said you were going to start that process again once the window is shut. Is there any movement in terms of bringing in an assistant?
The process is ongoing, so we're still working on it. I think we need. It's like with the players. We can find many assistants, but we need to find the right one to help the staff and the club to grow again.
So are you looking for someone specifically who's got experience at the Championship, who's in that sort of,
We have many possibilities, and because we can improve our staff with experience in the Championship, with experience for the set pieces, for example, with experience in the individual development. So it's possible to exploit these different areas.
This weekend then, it's the neighbours from down the road. A bit of a dispute as to whether it's a derby match. I don't know whether in France, Lorient, are derbies a thing in France?
When we play against local team at Lorient, for example, we had I think the specific derby was against Brest, but we played against Nantes, Rennes, Guingamp, Angers maybe, so it's not too far. We can create many derbies. So I think the most important derby from my knowledge is Newcastle. Yes. So Middlesbrough will one of an interesting feature, I think, but I'm not sure for the supporters and the fans that it's a specific derby we'll play this Saturday.
And looking at Middlesbrough, I think it was widely perceived that they had a very good transfer window, probably arguably maybe the best in the Championship this summer. Not probably the start that they were looking for, but I think it's very dangerous to make assumptions on the games that have gone. There's only 4 or 5 games, so interesting fixture.
Yes, it will be another interesting game, because I think all the games are interesting, with a different style of play. So it's a well-organized team in and out of possession, and with specific attention in the way of building the game, for example, very narrow and very interesting. So for us, we'll have specific attention in many details. It will be very interesting for us to solve that problem. Yeah.
And how important is it for you? I mean, you talked about the stadium light, the atmosphere, and the fans. Dan Neil made a point after the game at Plymouth about how the players react home and away, and there's clearly, in his mind, players react better at home because of the fans. Is that something you really are trying to sort of input into the team to make the Stadium Light a very difficult place for teams to come?
Yes, I hope so. It could be if we can play with 12 players, it's still better. This link with the public and the fans is very interesting, because it's another, I can say, another competency. We need to be focused on our game, but if we can understand that some specific action, some different moment during the game can change the momentum and the atmosphere in the stadium, I think it's a good improvement. For example, Romain against against Plymouth, I think when it wasn't maybe intentional, but it changed the atmosphere of the stadium at that moment. And we still have young players, so they experienced that this kind of behavior can change something in the energy of the game. So we can use this statement at home for sure.
Because it was very telling, I think, at Plymouth. A lot of people said to me afterwards, the atmosphere at home park was very vibrant. It certainly clearly seemed to help Plymouth.
Yes, of course, because you at that moment you have like an extra energy and to push, to win duels, to press, to counter press, even for the creativity, because you can try many different actions because you feel the support behind you. Yes, absolutely.
Hi. This is the first week where your players have had to deal with a league defeat. What have you seen in terms of their mentality after the disappointment of last weekend?
First of all, I can't blame the team for trying to win. So we tried to win. So at the end, maybe we can say 2-2, don't touch anything, and low block, and that's it. They tried. So for me, it's we need to keep that mindset, that involvement, that willingness to win, and then after the game, we need to learn. And the analysis of the game was, I think, very clear. During the first half, we had the control, but I think because that control is now clear for us, we know when we control the game how we are controlling that game. We didn't threat the depth and the space in behind, for example. I think at that moment it could be very useful to score a second goal. And during the second half, the game was very different, but it was clear that our organization wasn't the best we had during the first part of the season. So we know exactly that some of our defensive or offensive elements were not the best we can use. So at the video analysis, we had 3 sessions this week, and we spoke about that. And I hope for the next game it will be solved.
You've spoken about, is it a derby, is it not a derby? Your players and staff, do they feel anything extra with it being against a local club, or is this just another game in the Championship for you?
I don't know for the players. For me, I like every game, so because I think it's always a new challenge, and every challenge is exciting. So for me, I like playing against Middlesbrough, against Plymouth, and against Watford after. So for me, it's the same. And if we can feel at home the energy of the stadium, it's better. For the players, I don't know exactly. We'll see.
And you spoke a bit about Middlesbrough. I mean, they create lots of chances, and they just possibly haven't taken them. I guess you must be looking, even though they haven't had the results, their threat is still very strong.
Yeah, they are very good in possession and very structured, with this ability to create in the central corridor, and it's a very interesting team. So sometimes, because they are very structured and we know their strength, we know as well how we can solve, instead of having random range of different attack, I can say like that. So we know exactly how they can beat us, so we know exactly how we can solve the problem. Now we need to execute. It's not easy on the pitch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It will feel like a derby in the stadium. The atmosphere will be big. Now, the last 2 years in this fixture, there's been a player sent off, and that actually probably decided who won the game.
Mm-hmm.
How important is, in this sort of big atmosphere, how calm you can keep the players as well?
I think we can control the emotion if we are focused on the game. So what we have to do, in possession, out of possession, in different moments of the game. It's a high press, it's a low press, it's a mid press. The momentum is like that. So maybe we need to try this build up instead of another build up. And when we are focused on the game, I think we can solve this problem. But as it was the case at Plymouth, sometimes a specific event can change the rationality, I can say like that. So experience after experience, I hope it will be better against Middlesbrough. Yeah.
Can I just ask you about Romain Mundle? How pleased are you with him? Because he obviously basically took the place of a player who the crowd loved, and obviously is doing so very well.
Yeah. He's in a good place at the moment, and so I'm not so surprised really, because I always thought that he has this kind of qualities. Now the challenge for him is to maintain the level and the consistency. So you can perform during 1, 2 or 3 games, but the quality of a player at the highest level is to repeat, and in different conditions. So I think, for example, at Plymouth, their fullbacks were very aggressive against Patrick and Romain. So it's a new experience, and sometimes maybe it will attract this fullback to open a space for Job or Rigi, and then maybe it will less, I think, performant for a game and create another space and another condition for a teammate. So he's in that process. So I'm happy, and I hope he will learn from his positive and negative experiences.
Has it been the same week after a defeat as it was after the victories?
No, it's always different. The taste is different, but I trust the process, and I think the players trust the process as well. So we knew before that we couldn't win all the games during the season. It's not possible, and so the process is still ongoing. We can win, we can lose. If we are in that mindset that the improvement, the development is the most important thing for us, I think with the talent we have, with the relationship we have in that team, we can create the best level and win many games.
Thank you. You've spoken about how the players respond after this loss. So what's your process like? What sort of things do you and your staff go through after a loss like this?
It's still the same process. So for me, the emotion after a game is still dangerous, because you are involved, and sometimes you are happy and not. Sometimes you are not happy. And the analysis, the deep analysis, the deep video analysis is very useful to understand what went wrong, especially during that game, and to identify the specific areas we need to develop. It was the case this week, and the involvement of the players during especially the 2 last sessions was very interesting. So I hope that we will have some different, I think, behaviors from this new experience.
Going into a game like this, is the emphasis very much on your attacking players to take the games to Middlesbrough early on, not let them settle, get the crowd involved, and make it difficult for them?
Yes, it still is useful to bring the crowd with us. So tactically, we can use some choices to have this support with us. It was the case at Plymouth. Sometimes we had the possibility to run and to play in behind, and then you can press, you can counter-press, you can create chances instead of keeping the ball. So this kind of choices can influence the balance of the momentum and the atmosphere in the stadium. So it will be the case against Middlesbrough.
You go in from managing against one ex-Manchester United player to another in Michael Carrick. What are you expecting from him? And obviously, I know you mentioned the possessions that Middlesbrough were like, but what do you think he will be like in terms of how he conducts himself?
I don't know exactly. I think that this experience of the high level is still useful for a manager. So I don't know exactly what will be happen during that game. But I know that he and his staff will have the possibility to manage the game, to manage some different shape maybe to change the momentum. It's possible. I think it was the case at Plymouth.